It's national meets regional. Welcome to Sidewalks Entertainment, the long-running celebrity, music, and art series. Join us now for an exciting new path to celebrity interviews, music, rising talents, and much, much more.
Our next guest is known for her roles in such films as Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 and the film The Help, along with fantastic TV roles in shows like True Blood, The Good Wife, and Mad Men. She's also starring in the Amazon series Good Girls Revolt. I'd like to welcome the lovely and talented Anna Camp to Sidewalks TV. Anna, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, and thanks for that wonderful introduction.
Yes, you are super talented, Anna. I've been following your career, and I wanted to get to know you a little bit before we get into the Amazon project. We have to get to know you. So you started acting at a pretty young age. How did this all start for you?
Yeah, I started acting. I'm from South Carolina originally, and I started acting in second grade. My sister, 7 years older than I am, she was already into acting classes, and I wanted to like jump on that train and do all of that. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Yeah, I just knew I wanted to tell stories, and I remember I recited a poem in front of my second grade class, and something really like emotional happened to me at the time, you know, and it's something that I stuck with. So yeah, I think I'm doing the right thing.
That's awesome. So at a young age, already doing plays in a sense, probably at the beginning. I remember those things back in the day when we were kids. We did plays back in the day.
Yeah, my first role actually was at a DARE play. DARE to get, you know, the drug program. Yes, and I got cast as a drug dealer.
that is a stretch.
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I thought for sure I would get cast as the kid that was like saying no to drugs, but I totally got cast as a drug dealer, and I was pushing green jelly beans.
Oh my gosh! Oh my God!
Yes.
Well, do you actually remember your very first acting gig once you started getting into this whole auditioning? Do you remember the very first gig that you did?
Yes,
was it a commercial
do.
TV show?
Yes, I had just graduated school, and I went to New York, and I was auditioning for commercials all the time because that's really like the first thing that you do as an actor when you graduate. And I booked an Enterprise rent-a-car commercial where I was the driver, yeah, and there's a comedian named Chuck Neese. He was the actor in the commercial, and I got to hand him the keys to the car and said, like, we'll pick you up, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So that gave me residuals for a very long time. I am not mad at that job at all.
Oh my God. Well, I know as actors, I talk to a lot of actors, they talk about how difficult it is to make that big break. Do you remember if you took on other jobs outside of acting, or did you stick with the acting to help you get by?
You know, I was really fortunate that I started booking a lot of jobs directly after college. So, you know, I worked as a assistant receptionist at a dental office for maybe like a week when I lived in Queens. But then I got my first theater gig and went to Dallas Theater Center and did The Importance of Being Earnest there, like right out of school. And then actually every job that I got after that was because of that first job, and I didn't have to go back to be a receptionist. And I was very fortunate to not have to wait tables either, so I'm very lucky.
I always hear about that. People are usually waiting tables as actors, so.
Yeah.
Well, you also sing. So when did you get into singing? And I imagine this was part of the whole Broadway experience for you.
Yeah, my first job actually in New York City was a musical at an off-Broadway theater. I was singing. I've been singing since I was a little kid. You know, I always say that I sound better in the shower. I'm an actor who can sing. I don't necessarily say that I'm like the greatest singer in the world, but it's something that I do enjoy singing. And it's funny that I like got cast in a movie where I had to sing. It was never something that was like my goal in life is to be a great singer, but yeah, it's something that I really enjoy, and I guess I can, you know, carry a tune.
Yeah, well, it's very apparent your singing talents. Obviously, we remember you from your role, Aubrey, in the Bellas for the Pitch Perfect 1 and 2 films. We just actually talked to one of your cast members, Haley Steinfeld. Do you stay in touch with the cast at all?
Yes, I do. Brittany Snow is a great friend of mine. She was actually in my wedding recently, which is wonderful. Elizabeth Banks, of course, is awesome. We try to keep in touch. Rebel Wilson, it's like everybody's career just sort of like exploded right after that movie, so it's definitely harder. But when we're all in the same town at the same time, we definitely try to make a point of hanging out. And of course, I did marry someone from the movie, so we definitely keep in touch.
That's so true. You did get married to somebody pretty important.
Yes.
Well, Anna, the reason why you're here today is because you are talking about the Amazon original series, The Good Girls Revolt, which has a ton of rave reviews. Awesome show, by the way.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this revolutionary character, Jane, and briefly about the story.
Absolutely. It's based on the book by Lynn Povich of the same title, Good Girls Revolt, which is about the first sexual discrimination lawsuit that happened in 1969 at Newsweek. And of course, we're the fictional news of the week, but where women were not allowed to be journalists. They could only be researchers at the magazine, so they could never get promoted, they could never get raises, and they were doing so much work. But to what end? And they all started to question, is this fair? Why can't we be journalists as well and reporters? And they actually found out that it was illegal the way they were being treated. So they hired a lawyer and they sued the company. So it's the first sexual discrimination lawsuit. And I played Jane Hollander, who is sort of the star researcher at the magazine at the time. She's not really questioning the status quo. She doesn't realize that she has other opportunities, that she deserves any other opportunities. She thinks she's just going to get married, move to Connecticut. She's not going to work there for the rest of her life. But then she starts to understand that she is getting fulfillment from her job. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with being fulfilled by your career? And she starts to sort of converse with the other women and make stuff happen.
Yeah, I was interested, you were working with a lot of very talented actors in this. I imagine working on this show is pretty fun, especially with the wardrobe. What's it like working with your cast and having to morph into these characters?
It's great. This is a real female empowerment. We've got so many people behind the scenes that are also women. It's the first time I've worked with a female cinematographer who's fantastic. Our creator is female. We had so many female directors, and usually it's the opposite, where it's mainly a male-dominated. It's still a male-dominated industry, but I think that our show really took the time to hire women and women writers. The other actresses, Genevieve Angelson and Erin Dark, are wonderful. They're fantastic. I can't picture anybody else playing those roles. And we have a female costume designer, Laura Jean Shannon, she's amazing. You go on set and they blocked off streets in LA to make it look like downtown New York, in the 60s. And there's just so many extras who are dressed to the nines, and they look fantastic. And you really feel like you're back in the time. So they've done an amazing job, and it's a really elevated group of people making this show like something really special, I think.
Yeah, and it was such a different time, one that was impacted by such a cultural revolution back then. So imagine, is that what caught your eye in pursuing or auditioning for this series?
Yeah, when I read the script, I'm always doing 60s period pieces. I don't know what that is. I've been very lucky. I did The Help, and Mad Men was one of my favorite shows, and I was so lucky that I got to be in that. So it's been a real true pleasure to be able to act in something like this. And my parents love it. They're like, it takes us right back to that time period.
Well, we're super excited for you, Anna. You're an amazing show that you're on, very talented, and we look forward to hearing more about you.
Thank you.
So come back and visit us here.
I would love to. Thanks so much for having me.
For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.